I can count on an amputated hand the number of people who spend any time thinking about that, because the first thing they do is jump on realestate.com and start scrolling through
Do you know what I call that? Do you know what I call that? The ready, fire, aim approach.
Yeah.
I want to be a property investor. Realestate.com.au. There's one. Buy it. What do I do now?
Welcome to Get Invested on the Property Hub podcast channel, the leading weekly show for Australians who want to learn how to unlock their full self, health and wealth potential. I'm your host, Bushy Martin, and each week I go deep with the best investors, experts, leaders and founders to find out what it takes to break free from the grind, discover freedom and to live by design. Subscribe now and join me and get invested in the life that you really want. Let's get started.
Welcome back to this special 5-part Get Invested mini-series with Brendan Kelly. In episode 1, Brendan and Bushy got real about why property investing has to start with you, your goals, your mindset, and building a strategy that actually suits your life, not someone else's sales pitch. So here's the big question. Once you know what you want, how do you actually get there? And how do you make sure that the plan you create is sustainable, flexible, and built to last through life's twists and turns? In today's episode, Bushy asks Brendan to share what sustainable success really means, how he's doing it himself, and what it takes for you to do the same. They'll talk about defining your happy, working out your real numbers, and managing your timeline, and why so few investors ever stop to ask themselves these critical questions. So settle in and get ready to challenge your thinking and design the strategy that will work for you. Let's jump back in.
Let's jump into the future for a second then, because everyone talks about success in this day and age, Brendan. What's your definition of sustainable success? And I underline the word sustainable. How are you achieving it? And given the mentoring work that you do, how can others?
Sustainable success. For me, it's it depends on the approach to life people have. Happiness is a key to sustainability success. I continue to drive for things that bring me joy. Because freaking pointless if it doesn't. So what are the things that you do that bring you joy? So it depends on your approach to life. But sustainable success, it does require you to keep going along a path. So again, going back to the 15 and the thinking of time on the planet sort of stuff and the broader, I came to a conclusion of a broad direction I wanted to go. As long as I keep stepping up and making decisions towards that direction, there's a sustainability that will automatically occur. Yep. I just got to keep stepping up and heading to that direction. And it's interesting, life will push you left and right. It's not a direct path. I'm here today, I'm there tomorrow, straight line. Not going to happen. Never going to happen. Don't expect it. Yeah. But as long as you know, and you were saying this earlier in your intro, as long as you know where you're going, you have the goal or the ambition or the desire or the outcome that you're after, as long as you know what that is, and it doesn't have to be precise or clear, although there are people out there who say the clearer it is, the more dedicated you are to it. I can't dispute that. Yeah. The clearer you are on it, the more you write it down, the more you post little post-it notes of everything, the more driven you are to get it, and the more likely it'll come to true. I can't dispute that. I've gone a directional path. I've gone, my path's been a little looser. My path's been a little bit more aesthetic. No, it's ethereal. My path's been, my outcome's been a little more ethereal. Again, I don't know if it's the right word. I'm not that good.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Yep.
You're great. But I've recognized that life will push me left or right. But as long as I've got my eye on that broad direction, I can flex whatever I need to keep that direction in mind and just keep making decisions along the way to that. And sustainable success is the ability to do that.
Yeah.
Just the ability to do that.
Yeah, love that. I like the flexibility what you're talking about, because as we've touched on already, your thinking changes over time, and your outlook and your attitudes and your expectations, they all evolve. So if the end destination is more a broader target than a pinpoint, because there's values and a vision attached to that, then that's more likely to be sustainable than a very finite
challenge you for a second on that. I think finite really works well. If people are clear that I have a picture at this age
Yep.
I will be in this type of house, in this type of area, with this type of asset base, and this type of car, and this type of this type of this type of this type, and I keep pushing my way towards that, I would suggest that most people will probably get pretty bloody close to that. And that's part of, again, where you asked me mine, what do I want? And I'm going to I'm looking for a place in the south coast of New South Wales. I'm looking for a couple of hectares. I need a big shed. I want a big shed because I need a man cave with a lot of tools and toys, sizable amount of land, a couple of hectares, great views with a couple of assets behind me that are bringing in passive income and the ability to continue to mentor and delve into property until I choose not to. So that is the model. Yeah. So I'm kind of on the way to living the dream now by doing the things I want to do now. And there'll be just a phasing out or a varying weight of my time that gets put into that. And that's the path. So the more specific, if I said it's got 13 windows and 14 taps, I think that's probably a bit extreme. But from the perspective of what it is I want, I think there's a bit of value in that.
Well, I'm glad you said it because I was just sort of baiting you a little bit with that statement because what you've just
Listen, seeking young man.
Well, I'm really glad that you respond in that fashion because what you've just described is very similar to what I've personally done. I'm a very visual person, so every year my wife and I sit down and we spend a couple of days doing this, revisiting our vision. But the initial vision that I crafted back in the late 90s, when I was on the bones of my bum and had to start again, hasn't changed much. What I'm doing, with who, where, what type of place I'm living in, what I'm looking at, what I'm doing. I wrote that down then, and almost by osmosis, that has because it's just been subtly reinforced on one of those nutcases has a vision board on the back of the toilet door and in the shower and the whole bit. And I don't do it as much as I used to, but I used to really focus on that every day and recite stuff in front of the mirror every day because I was on the bones of my bum, had 2 cents to rub together when I started that point.
Yeah,
it is made when I do now consciously look at that vision board, and there's not much of it that hasn't been ticked off.
Correct.
By the way, and because I had a very clear picture of what that ended.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, absolutely. So, okay, so just for people listening to this, perhaps because I just put my teacher hat for a second, or my mentoring hat for a second. For people listening to this, my invitation for you out of this is listen to the words that Bushy and I are saying. There is a correlation there. And the question you might want to ask is, well, where are you at in that? Where are you at in your life on that? So here's an invitation of questions for you to consider. If you've not played this game before, my encouragement is start to play the game. What is it that is your happy? What is it that will bring you joy? Start to think about the time when work is not an obligation. What is it that you would like to fill your day with? How do you see your time being spent, and what's going to bring you joy? What is your happy look like? Based on an image of what that happy is for you, then there is some pragmatic requirement for you to sit down and think, well, what is the wealth required to have that happy? What is the number that I need? What is the dollar value that I need to have accumulated over my time left to have that happy? And then the next question becomes, well, when is this ideal happy likely to be? And it's not when from the perspective of bad and wrong for not getting there, when from the perspective of how hard do I need to go to get there? See, if you're 50, thinking about this for the first time, let's say, having lived a life and gone, there's got to be something else. I'm not sure there's enough. If that's you at 50, then your time requirement saying, no, I want to be out by 55, your time requirement is really short. You have to go really bloody hard to be able to achieve that. Yep. You go, oh, okay, no, I can survive until 65, 70. That gives you 20 years. So that elongates the process.
Yep.
If you're at 25, 30, let's say, listening to this going, oh, okay, no, this kind of resonates. I think my happy will be like this. I think the dollars required might be like this. I've got 30 years to be able to do that. Right. So that changes the nature of the energy you need to put in over the period of time. So the invitation then becomes, what is an image of your happy? See what you can do to, and again, it's arbitrary. You pull a figure out of your hat. We're not looking for specific details here to the cent. Yeah. What might the dollars required be for that? And then, great, what time frame am I looking to play that in? And then that becomes in the basis of how hard do I need to go? And you can start to assess from that. Well, will my job do it? Will my super do it? And start to ask some really basic questions of what do I need to do differently and how?
Love it. Love it. Using slightly different language, we talk about your freedom numbers, and we developed a very rudimentary freedom forecast. So that looks at what's your lifestyle income. So if you know what your ideal lifestyle looks like, how much does that cost per year? That dictates your nest egg number, because the income determines the size of the nest egg that you need to create based on some yield numbers that are going to give you that. Your break-free timeline is the amount of time. And then if you look at where your currently assets are and where they're likely to end up if you do nothing differently, that's going to tell you the gap between where that is and where you want to be. And as you so beautifully described, the timeline is going to determine how active or passive the strategy and the tactics need to be. And that because just that encompasses the whole picture right there. If you get really clear on what that looks like, then everything else falls out of the bottom of that.
Yep.
But I can count on an amputated hand the number of people who spend any time thinking about that, because the first thing they do is jump on realestate.com and start scrolling through
products. Do you know what I call that? The ready, fire, aim approach.
Yeah.
I want to be a property investor. Realestate.com.au. There's one. Buy it. What do I do now?
That's yeah. That's rather than the other way around, which tell me what it should be.
Yeah, obviously the ready, aim, fire, which is, the whole. All right, how much money have I got? What's my cash position? What's my borrowing capacity? What strategy do you want to take on? And what are my skill sets to help me determine my strategy? What is the time frame that I have available to me for my investing activity? And what's the outcome I want from this property? And will a strategy deliver that outcome? And by when do I want to achieve that? So there is a world of investigation that needs to exist in self and position today before any search gets underway. The search is the last thing you do.
Exactly.
It's the it is strategy first, find it second. Yeah. You get your strategy right, then I go and find the house that serves that strategy need, because I know my numbers, I know my strengths, I know what I'm good at, I know and that correlates with everything I have available to me to make this happen.
Love it.
I do all that work in advance. Then I go and find the hands.
Yeah.
Ready, fire, aim. Kind of sets you up for a little bit of difficulty.
Good. Ready, fire, aim. It's a great expression. Talking about that misdirection, given there's such a plethora of players in the property game these days, and but maybe I'm getting older, but I think it's getting worse to some degree. What's one idea that you hear so-called experts in the field say that you disagree with, Brendan?
I don't like the. Yeah, okay, great. One of the things that doesn't work for me is the off-the-plan marketing sales. A developer's job is to generate profit for themselves. The product they produce is houses.
Yep.
The developer in large estates determines the price based on the profit they want to make. And because there's no other houses in the area, I mean, sure, there's neighbouring suburbs with houses, or maybe a small volume of established houses that are old, but because they are basically the producer of the houses of the suburb, they dictate the price. And in dictating the price, that price serves them and their needs, not you, the buyer.
Yep.
And they then run these sales events, marketing events where you go and sit down. My old man told me a story about this as a kid, where they had one sales agent sit on one seat, shunted my old man next to that sales agent, sat the other side of him, and there was a presentation done for how this house is going to be great, with both heads turned onto him, wondering what he was going to do to make a decision. Anyway, the charts that they put forward are graphically appealing in that they go, if you buy this today, with the rate of growth that's occurred over the last year or 2 years, or pick a number where it's the highest, or if you go for a 10% growth per year, look at what the value of your property will be in 20 years' time. Damn, you're awesome. You buy this, you'll make it, badge on chest, successful property investor, dinner conversations done forever. No, it is wonderful. And you just go, there's no way that 10%, and this whole thing is fictitiously created. It's a computer-generated chart. But people believe that, and people get emotionally engaged. And again, the sales triggers work that way. So that's one of the things I'm not a fan of, relying on the pictorial charts of computer-generated growth that doesn't actually exist and never can.
Yeah.
One of the things that comes out of that is there is often within the circles, and particularly those who are potentially lesser known around market information, they say property or want to use it as a tool for themselves. Property doubles every 7 to 10 years. And you go, yeah, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. It's interesting. There's a website, which we'll probably get into at some other point, but there's a website, SQM Research. Are you familiar with SQM Research?
Yep.
Love that website. It's all about listings and asking property prices, etc.
Totally.
You know, on that website, I encourage you, if you know SQM Research, I encourage you to get into the asking property prices and look up asking property prices for Adelaide.
Yep.
And a graph comes up.
Yep.
There is no growth for 12 years. In the whole city of Adelaide, there is no median growth for 12 years. Now, obviously, suburbs go up and down, but the net effect is there's no median growth for 12 years. So Adelaide did not go anywhere. There's no doubling in 7 to 10, nothing. So, okay, my point, prices don't double every 7 to 10 years, and don't rely on that. And if somebody tells you that, go, no, and then get up and walk away.
Exactly right. In fact, if you do the research to go through a full cycle, if you like, from bottom to top, on average over the last 45 to 50 odd years, it takes 15 years, 15 to 20 on average to do that. So, and that's based on hard facts. And I love Louis. Louis's been on the show a few times from SQM. He's again.
Oh.
The data does the talking. That's where the reality is. Talk's cheap, and buying the dream off the plan, no question. It's a sales exercise, but there is. I do want to distinguish here between off the plan and the potential to build. If you're controlling the build yourself, and you're doing it the right way, and you've got the right people on board with you, then there is good opportunity to manufacture equity process. And
we're talking those who have a more skullduggerous approach to wealth generation or revenue generation for the company. Yeah, there are some really credible developers that put fantastic properties on the market. Inside from their developments. Mostly, though, not. This is where I encourage you. If you're going to do off the plan, great, no problem. But do it in an environment where it's an established suburb and they're doing infill development. Don't. I'm suggesting, and okay, great. For anybody who's listening to this who does delve into estate purchases, that's fine. I've got no problem with you doing that. I'm just suggesting don't believe the hype. Do your own due diligence. There are people who make great money out of buying at the right time, the right blocks in landfill estates. greenfield, so greenfield estates.
Yeah, there are.
Absolutely.
There are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I've seen people do it. Yeah, so I guess.
So have I.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm not an advocate for either, but what I'm really saying is, don't knock everything out of the park because there's
Correct.
risk. Do your homework, drill in deep, control the key aspects, and you've still got the opportunity to make money. And if I apply that again to medium price values, you talked about Adelaide going nowhere for 12 years on a medium price. Well, again, I think to some degree, while I would treat median price as a indicator that then requires a lot further homework, there's a lot of investors who don't have time who treat that as the holy grail and therefore will only jump into areas based on median price movements, when you and I know that you create your own economy when you do property, because if you know exactly where things are at an individual property level within that broader context, then you have a far bigger opportunity to create value regardless of what's happening at the median level. So I just want to
Bushy, massive conversation. Yeah, there is a lot of depth behind that. But yes, this Adelaide example was just
that's a good one.
for a whole
good one.
city. There are hundreds of suburbs in Adelaide, and they go up and they go down, and they go up and down at very different times. No two suburbs behave the same way at the same time. It just doesn't happen that way. So anyway,
So I guess what
I go back to.
Yeah.
I'm going to. Yep. Sorry, my turn.
You know, you go.
I'm stealing.
No, it's your turn.
I go back to the model that the greatest avenue of profitability I see in buying off the plan comes from buying in established suburbs for infill developments, because you have the ability to do your own due diligence and you have relativity of the purchase price, median price movements, property price movements, the target market. You can get into the nitty gritty at a earthy level, dirt level of what you're getting into. But there are large greenfield estates, and the message there, don't believe the hype.
Spot on.
Yep, just don't believe the hype.
Spot on.
If you are feeling, this is very exciting. If you are feeling emotionally engaged and emotionally charged to buy something, that's the moment you put the credit card in the freezer in a tub of water.
That's right.
Yep. And you walk away and you think about it.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah, that's the moment, because it's under those circumstances you need to check yourself, check your emotions at the door, and get into the pragmatic research about what am I really getting into. And going right back to your intro, which again, I thought was brilliant, going right back to your intro, what is the goal that I'm looking to satisfy out of this purchase?
Yeah.
Will this property likely satisfy that goal, and how?
Yeah.
And what am I relying on in order for that to occur?
Yeah.
And what period of time might I be referring to in order for that to come out? And how did that influence my end game of the happy life that I want to live and the wealth required in order to do that? And if you then take the emotion out and think of your investment from that perspective, you have a far greater insight into making a far better decision.
Love it. Beautifully summed up. And I think we're actually on the same page here.
Yeah, we are. I get it.
I think the danger with people being time poor now is they're making big decisions on limited on information. If they take a top down macro to micro approach where they join the dots on the high level stuff, but then really deep dive and do the due diligence at the low edge stuff, which is leaving the credit card in the freezer, as you said, because when you're excited, that's when the true due diligence begins. That's when you've really got to try and disprove yourself, really, and convince yourself why you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, you're not looking for confirmational data.
Not at all. So I love you sort of bringing that to our attention, because again, it's a piece that not many people do, and people are in a mad panic hurry because they don't have time to make big decisions. We've touched on procrastination a bit. I'm a classic for that too, Brendan. I would rather slow the bus down and do the work and you're never going to be sure, and you're never going to find the perfect property, and there's never going to be the perfect time. That never exists. But you can at least stack the deck in your favor if you do a number of deep dives to make sure that you're correlating the.
And there's a whole process associated with that. And again,
which
not for this conversation, but it's a sizable process that if you can follow consistently and diligently, then you minimize risk, and that's the whole objective here: risk mitigation for every purchase.
Yeah, and again, I just want to say that the level that Results Mentoring takes investors through is second to none in that capacity. So look, before I jump into the fast ball for part one, if you were starting out again, what, if anything, would you do differently on your investment journey?
Yeah, great. So that depends entirely on what age you're telling me I'm starting again.
You tell me. Let's go back. Let's go back to 15.
Got it. So on the premise, it's old head on young shoulders. All right, okay, I can work with that. My first thing would be learn about the market. You got to know the environment you're investing into. You've got to be able to read trends. So invest in understanding the market. On the basis of understanding the market and knowing the nature of how things play out, macroeconomics, microeconomics, local market, etc. I would then probably go into the reno, buy. No, I'd go into ride waves of growth. Yeah. So there is. You mentioned earlier, and we started the conversation around the nature of the market. In a very high level perspective, there is a period of growth that occurs in a city or a macro environment. There's a period of growth that occurs, and then there's periods of flat, just like decline, then flat. Then there's periods of growth, then there's flat. Then there's periods of growth, then there's flat. If you can read the market, know when it's turning towards an up, you get in and you ride a wave of growth, and you do a buy ugly, make pretty, and sell in that wave of growth, or sell at the end of that wave of growth for maximum profitability because you've added value by making it pretty and you've driven a wave of growth. You've got easy money on the back of the growth, the market-driven growth. Lovely. Yep. That would be for the growth period. For the non-growth period, you would do add value, sell projects. Yep. Could be a reno, buy ugly, make pretty, sell. Could be a subdivision, could be a development. And I don't think you could get into a massive organization that does and we've done this, the 5 stories and there's multiple shops. Is our learning out of that from a live a life perspective, there's actually a lot more value in staying small. Yep. You would go into the 3s or 4s, maybe a 5, but you don't need to really get much bigger than that. Infill, because again, you understand the market, you understand what's happening in the area, you know the numbers that will work, you know your target market you're selling to, you know what to build, you'll know your budgets, etc. So reno, subdivision, develop, small sort of projects. Yep. That would be what I'd do during the flat times. Yep. And I would find something that I would enjoy along the way for food on table, roof overhead. Yeah. Now it could be you create the business, results mentoring, create the business, use that, property predictions, use that. Whatever your story is, I like to be an architect, be employed as an architect. I want to run an architect, run an architect business. Whatever it is that your thing is that brings you the joy that you've identified that you want to experience on your journey through to the end game, do that. And outside of that, yes, you do your ride the wave of growth, add value, sells along the way. If your old head, young shoulders, I would manage it that way.
Love that. And again, joining the dots on what you just shared, if you're doing the right homework, you can make money in any market. It's just a matter of how you.
Well, that's your answer, isn't it?
Probably.
There is no right time to get in, other than the time you get in.
Yeah.
So there are people who go, "Oh, I think the market's flat. I don't want to get in now. I was warming up, but it's not enough proof yet. I don't want to get in now. Gee, it's hot. I don't want to get in now.
It's always an excuse.
Oh, I've missed the boat. I don't want to get in now."
Exactly right. 100% agree. which I'm going to dive into a bit of that in part two of our conversation, actually. But let's jump into the what I like to call the bushfire round, or the ambush round, where
little notes about that, young man. Little
my
notes.
first question is that the first of those, Brendan, is if you could have the coffee with anyone, be they alive or a dead historical figure, who would you choose and why?
I think I would. Okay. I don't know Anthony Robbins. I haven't followed any of his stuff. But if I had a chance to have a coffee with somebody, I think Anthony Robbins would be an awesome guy to have a coffee with. Two reasons. I've learned a little about what he does and what he says in his approach. I think there's a correlation there, but I'm arrogant. And the flip side of that is I just think I walk away lifted. I think his ability to read people and to go, whack, take this as their next evolution. I'll go, oh, and then a transformation might occur. So that would be what I'd be after.
Yeah. Well, I actually had the pleasure of, would you believe, in little old Alice Springs years ago, Anthony Robbins came to town. This is back in the early 90s. And a group of us went along to that session. And I've got to say, he is a very inspirational guy. He's just, there's an energy about that guy that, I mean, you can pick it up on his videos, let alone being in his presence. He has an amazing impact and fires you up with the confidence to get out there and change the world. There's no question about it. So that'd be a great coffee. And back on the investment subject for a second, what's both the worst and best piece of investment advice that you've ever received?
Worst advice would be, why don't you buy something for tax purposes? Yep. Why don't you buy this buy and hold so that you can massively negatively gear it and I can save you tax? The job of the accountant is to wear the badge of honor that says, look how much I've saved you, or look how big your refund is. Their job is not to create wealth for you. Their job is to sell you how good they are in having your refund be large. Yeah. So the more money you lose, the more money they can claim as a loss, the bigger the refund. They do their job.
What about the best?
Start now.
Yeah.
The best, just start now. Start now.
Yeah.
I can't stress that enough.
Any explanation? There's, I've always said it's never about when, it's about what and where and how. So absolutely spot on there. Changing subjects altogether, and you're going to put a cape and a mask on now, Brendan. What superpower do you wish you had, and why?
Superpower. You know what? If it was to be anything, I mean, sure, bullets bouncing off my chest would be delightful. But I think it's if I had the ability to read the future, yeah, that would allow me to make more informed investing decisions and better investing decisions. I would know and have a greater confidence, which is, again, the source of understand the market, build property predictions so that I can. It is all about being able to read the market, read the conditions that you're investing into or the decision you want to make about life. If you have the future, then you got more of a clue about how to make better decisions.
Beautifully said. And property predictions with its 90% accuracy on trend direction is
not a bad record.
Good vindicator. It's a very good vindicator. Last thing, which I'm big on, and that is, that it's the happy habits and the rituals and the disciplines that we develop that actually enables us to achieve our wealth and health goals long term. What's one of those that you think's contributed most to your success?
Yeah, we said that before. We talked about that before. That is knowing the outcome that you're after and just constantly stepping up to the direction of that outcome. Every day is a conversation. Is this leading me to the image that I want to have for my existence in life down the track? I'm not saying sacrifice the joy today to have that. I'm just saying, what decisions are you making? If you're making a decision that's contrarian to the outcome that you want, then I got to ask why. What's the win in it for you? So make decisions relative to the direction that you need to go to achieve what you want.
I love it. Now, before we close out, what's the one question you wish I'd asked you, and how would you have answered, Brendan?
Is there a key to getting there sooner? Brendan, you've mentored people, you've You provide information around the market. Is there a key to actually getting there sooner because I want it now?
Yep.
Yeah, that would be the question I think might be something that could land for people.
And the answer is?
Excellent. No, I think I said it. It is start small, build on what you know, build on the skill, build on the size of the project you take on, and then build frequency and adapt to changing market conditions as you go along the way. That would be the shortest and most direct path to the outcome that you're looking to achieve.
Absolutely. Love it. It's a great way to reinforce the absolute key points. So look, I really want to thank you for taking the time to share your very inspiring personal journey and energizing for that matter, Brendan. But before we close, for those that's anyone who's watching or listening, and if you want to explore your investment strategy options further or get help in developing your personal crafted strategy, in addition to the wonderful assistance that Brendan and the Results Mentoring team can give you, whether you're an aspiring investor or just starting out, or an existing investor that's wondering why it's just not working for you, then also feel free to reach out to myself and the Know-How team for an initial property solutions session, or you can inquire about how we can assist you to craft your customized strategy by clicking the link in the show notes. And if anyone would like to ask myself or other property professionals any questions about their property approach that's come out of the great initial discussion with Brendan, or you'd like to further discuss anything we chatted about with other like-minded investors in a very safe, relaxed and no-pressure environment, feel free to join us on the Property Hub Collective, which is the Facebook group, again, just by clicking the link on the show notes. And we now look forward to connecting with you to continue the conversation there. And regardless of whether you're new to the game or an experienced investor, also free to take advantage of our recently released Freedom Formula course that's been crafted from my award-winning book of the same name, that you can get and do anywhere at your own pace and at your own time. And again, just click on the link on the show notes to make that happen. And we now look forward to continuing our great conversation with Brendan in next week's episode, when we're going to deep dive into the wealth of unique wisdom that results mentoring and property predictions provide to assist you achieve your ideal lifestyle goals through property and your version of financial freedom. So remember to always get invested in your knowledge and your network, and we look forward to getting invested with you again then, Brendan.
Do I say anything now, or is that it?
Yep, I'll see you next week. It's pretty.
See you guys. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Get Invested on the Property Hub podcast channel, your home for property investment insights and inspiration. Make sure you subscribe to Property Hub for free. Get your weekly dose of Get Invested inspiration along with every episode of Realty Talk, Australia's top online property show for red-hot property investing news and insights direct from industry leaders and influencers. And finally, I'll see you next time.